بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
We have less than 5 days to end this year's Ramadan, and so far so good. And today I would like to speak to two learned people, scholars, on what we have learned for the past 25 days. And so I have with me two scholars here who would be telling us much about what we've learned and the expectation from the youth after this year's Ramadan. First of all, I would like you to introduce yourself to our viewers.
Well, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nasser. I work for FANMOC, the Central Sales Area. And I'm the General Secretary of the Muslim Professionals Association in Kumasi.
Mr. Abdul Nasser, you witnessed this year's Ramadan. What are some of the new things that you've really learned this year?
Well, new things. Alhamdulillah, we've learned so much because by the very nature of Ramadan, which is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, it teaches us self-restraint. That's why Allah says, even though there are angels who record our deeds and our Lord's rewards, as for fasting, He gives the rewards Himself, because a servant will restrain himself from food, drink, body pleasure, and all the negative things, or some other negative things, and all of that just to earn the pleasure of Allah. So He rewards it Himself. And so we would definitely learn self-restraint if we fast well. Because you would have access to food, like our women, God bless them. They go to the kitchen, they do the cooking, but they keep their fast till it is appropriate time to break the fast. The men will have access, you can buy and eat, you can hide and drink, you can do all manner of things, but the sincere pledge, holding and delivering the sincere pledge between the servant and his creator, ensures that he keeps his fast from dawn to dusk. So that is one major thing that we learn. In other times that we don't fast, one of the things that can happen is, for instance, overfeeding. You overdrink, you overeat, you overindulge. I was listening to a health expert discuss it, and that easily breaks down our self-restraint.
Okay.
If you overfeed yourself, you can easily, get angry, fatigue, and poor memory, and a lot of things that even affects the heart, blood, and all of that. So with Ramadan, you get to control all of that, and it makes your life even better, smarter, and healthier.
Before we go deeper into this, let me go to Sebash. Sebash, you are well known, and but for the sake of our viewers, who is Sebash?
Mohammed Bashir Shiu Hassan, Assistant Headmaster Nurul Amin Senior High, and Chairman of the Education Committee for Muslim Professionals. That was
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
When I first saw you, today you were very excited. I don't really know what happened, but how far? What have you seen this year? Have you noticed anything new about this year's Ramadan?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I think with something new, the Muslim hardly experiences much more of new things when it comes to Ramadan. It's one of our strong pillars of the religion, in a sense that, like my brother rightly said, we are expected to stay away from food, quite a number of things, sex, even moral uprightness is something that the religion indulges on all of us to do. Alhamdulillah, seeing this year and a lot of people, when we met out there, we were discussing how we are going to miss the month itself. We are left with few days it only reminds us of death. That the much more we yearn for the ending of the Ramadan, so are we counting or calling for death to come closer. So when we met, the idea, we started brainstorming, thinking about our community, what we can do to help one another. If you saw the gathering, it was purely Muslim brothers and sisters from different walks of life who have come to dine and wine, not because they don't have food in their homes, but because we really want to share the brotherhood. That is what Ramadan is leaving us with, sharing the brotherhood. Sometimes when you meet like this, the Ramadan, some of the experience one learned has to do with you feeling how the poor feels when he is hungry. Because you've not eaten from morning, say from 4 o'clock or 4:30 till in the evening around 6:30 p.m. or 6:20, depending on the time or the sun. Then when somebody comes to you and complains of being thirsty or hungry, you actually begin to feel how he feels. Because having stayed away from all these things, it gives you that mental exercise to appreciate how the person feels. The second aspect has to do with the patience. It is not as if Muslims at any given point in time you must lose your patience when someone provokes you. But again, in the month of Ramadan, even if you want to go to the extreme, that extreme is to tell the person, please, I'm fasting.
Okay.
Now, if you are able to...
Before we come to that, I'm so much interested in what we have observed over the years now. Ramadan is supposed to change a Muslim, and the Muslim is supposed to change in the month of Ramadan. But immediately, a day after Ramadan, people go back to what they used to do. What is actually accounting to that? You've gone through 30 days or 29 days of fasting, restraining yourself from so many things, but a day after the Ramadan, people go back to the bad deeds they were committing in the past. What do you think is accounting to that?
Alhamdulillah, sincerely, whoever goes through the 30 days, you are not expected to do that. But as human beings, as we find ourselves, so it is even much more appreciable that after Ramadan, you don't say bye-bye to Ramadan. You are still entitled to Monday, Thursdays fasting that the Prophet does, and it's recommended on every Muslim. If you can, on Mondays, the Prophet fasts, so you fast. On Thursdays, he fasts, you try fasting. These are the two things. But as to what's really pushed brothers and sisters back to the sins that they were in is to say, you see, learning takes place, it's a gradual process. One is expected that at least you should be able to shun or forgo quite a number of things, but you cannot entirely forgo everything. But whoever goes through the Ramadan activity sincerely because of his creator is likely to lose a lot of things. You are likely to learn the patience of the prophets. You are likely, there's a likelihood that you will learn the endurance, because it goes with much endurance. You are thirsty. You don't have to use Ramadan to give excuses for not going to work. As a Muslim, even one will recommend that in the month of Ramadan, you are even able to go to work very early, because by 4:30 you are done. You go say your prayer, you shower, off you are at work. You understand? So as to what really account for, the community sometimes is a challenge community. Let's appreciate it and let us be realistic to one another. In as much as sometimes you even try to stay away, where you find yourself, there are others who might even trigger. But it is then that you must understand what you did some past month or a month and beyond. And that should, in a way, remind you, because having gone learning, whatever one goes through after 20 days should be part of his habit. And for that matter, if you go through the 30 days, learning is a gradual process.
Okay.
And for that...
All right. Whatever you go through 20 days, it should become part of you. Here is the case that we don't see that in our communities. For me, I think every month is supposed to be Ramadan. What do you also think is accounting to this kind of behavior in our communities?
I have two comments. The reason why we see, some behaviors that are below expectation after Ramadan is because we think highly of Ramadan. You see, I, I have read somewhere that even if society was formed by only angels who are adherent to all the rules, those who are more adherent, all right, will be seen as the senior or superior ones, while the weaker ones or the less compliant ones, less active ones, are seen as somewhat deviant. So it's not natural to have deviance. But because we are a society of high morals, people have high expectation of us, and are going through a very tedious month of worship and discipline and self-restraint, where we visit each other, we get more attention for our humanity, our spirituality, and all of that. The expected outcome is so high that any little deviation is overrated. It's because of what you are expecting. For instance, if you are hosting, a group of drunkards, and you hear insults and fights and misbehavior, will you be surprised?
No, I won't.
Exactly, because it is supposed to be the character of their situation.
Yeah.
But where you are dealing with a group of Muslims, worshippers, who are supposed to have gone through a cleansing exercise, by their average standard, it is even higher. Their morality is supposed to be higher. And then now they have gone through an exercise that is supposed to even make it higher. The least non-conformity is exaggerated. That is one. The other reason, or the other way I see it, is about effectiveness. So many people go to school, SHS, maybe, I don't know the numbers, but let's say 100,000 people enter SHS per year. How many graduate successfully and qualify for the university? Maybe 20,000, maybe 40,000. But they all went. The same thing with the Ramadan. Assuming Ramadan is a school. Let's say 1 million Muslims in Ghana pass through Ramadan. The dawn prayers, the taking your fast, regular prayers, visitation of relatives, all the necessary things. Spending time with your Quran, reflecting on Allah's words and all of that. You've done that. 1 million people will start and end on the average. If about 800,000, that is about 80% of them, go out with the necessary results and the restraint, the discipline, the courtesy, high morals, and all of that. The 200,000 that are less conforming with the expected results are likely to have more attention who went through Ramadan effectively.
But this generally, you look at the life of the Muslim and you realize, I mean, the Quran, the Holy Quran is a perfect book, and once you've been born in a Muslim family, you're supposed to grow up with a certain yes, that's what we are talking about. So, do we have to blame parents? I mean, because in this case,
the factors to blame are several. The issues to blame are several because, for instance, somebody would take the fast, but he doesn't allow the fasting to stop him from lying. He doesn't allow, when it prompts him, you see, the human system is such that sometimes you are tempted to undertake or behave in a certain upright manner, right? But if you are fasting, you should have prompts more easily.
okay.
But it is now your duty to allow those prompts or to respond to them.
Where do you think such a person learn this particular habit or character? Because you are not supposed to lie in the first place.
I'll remind you of a story where the parents told the daughter when a creditor was visiting the house, Oba catcher and say, Miniho. And the daughter happily told the creditor, my mother says I should tell you she's not around. So that mother is teaching the kid lies.
Meaning the mother was also not brought up well.
No. Somebody could be brought up well. And in life, there are points where we retrain ourselves. You get the basic training from home, a lot of restrictions. But let's say you finish secondary school. Now you are at the university, and you are supposed to be an adult. All right? I've heard stories of girls buying very short and provocative clothing while on campus. But when they are vacating, those are not the dresses they take home. They are mismanaging their freedom.
But I think there is something somewhere that we need to address. I'll come back to you, but Sebash, what are we doing wrong, and what are we doing wrong in our communities, Muslim communities, that we have to witness a certain kind of behavior? I mean, it's something that will happen after Ramadan. We begin to witness it just a day after Ramadan. What are we doing wrong?
Alhamdulillah, I think once again, it is not the Muslim community. You see, sometimes you find it difficult
But
to
we
really...
are so much concerned with the Muslim community
Yeah, I'm trying to
because
make-
once we are dealing with the Quran, we are dealing with Ramadan, we would have to refer everything to the Muslim community.
Yes, I mentioned earlier on, I was talking about the community. Predominantly, most Zongo communities are predominantly Muslim communities. But not everybody in Zongo is a Muslim. And when you look at the composition of the Zongo communities, it has to do with people from different walks of life, specifically from the north. Majority of them from the north, coming together, fused together to form the Zongo community, where we have Muslims and the greater proportion. Now you realize people coming with their different culture. The issue with the Zongo is not the issue of the religion. The religion has its modus operandi. It has its do's and don'ts. And for that matter, what everybody needs to do and what you need not to do. Brother Nuruddin, if you check the Islamic world and the Muslims in general, people have found it difficult to decipher between what the culture of the people is and what the religion is. The religion is bigger than the culture. And that is what, but majority of the northern parts and the Zongo community, whenever they accept the religion, they do not throw away their own culture. And for that matter, if you check, some of our cultures are where even when we are having wrestling, in the course of wrestling, where we pull sword, we fight with the sword, as part of our cultural activities that we do. But the Islamic religion in itself is a peaceful religion. And for that matter, whenever even the most authentic injunction in the Quran tells you that Allah is with the patient. Whenever you are cheated and you can exercise patience and ask Allah to act on your behalf, you are always safe. Now let us appreciate it. There is always a disconnect between the educated and the uneducated. Let us appreciate the fact that there is a challenge in our community seriously regarding unemployment. And where there is no employment, it is said that when you have no job, Satan finds job for the idle hands. Automatically these things are yet to happen or are bound to happen. Now when we talk about education, it is never true that per the definition of illiterate and literate, that the Zongo community is an illiterate community. It can be illiterate regarding the secular or the Western education. But if you want the most knowledgeable, those who can read and write, obviously they are the Muslims.
But the question is, why can't you restrain yourself after Ramadan? You've been able to do that for 30 days. Why can't you continue with that for the rest of your life? What is the challenge?
Unfortunately, in as much as I want to respect that question, I still want to put the issue on the table that it is a matter of where the publicity goes. All right? For instance, we would have celebrations. From the mosque, there will be procession. There will be family picnics. There will be get-together. There will be so many others. We prefer to go and capture the procession where the youth have left themselves loose and celebrating without borders or rules, than go and give publicity to family picnic at Botanical Gardens or homework having children's party at Jubilee Park and all of that. So what will feed into the public opinion is what the few deviants may do at the procession. That's why I gave you the example of the community of angels. It is not possible to have a society and not have deviance. The issue is the rate of deviation. All right? Sociologists will tell you there's an acceptable limit. 15-20%. Pareto rule says if it is 80%, it's fair. Where the minority are, in misbehavior. Then the other thing I keep also saying is the expectation. Like you keep hammering, the entire Muslim community is expected to show higher moral attitude.
Yeah, but
even before Ramadan. Yeah. Now we have had Ramadan, so it is supposed to even be another notch higher. If you check the statistics about teenage pregnancy, I've mentioned all the biases. Compare if you do community on community comparison, all right, we have the least.
But if we
all right?
if we want to compare,
you are expecting so high. So when it is like you are expecting 80% and you get a 60 or 55% mark, is of course disappointing.
Yes, the point is.
But if you compare it to another society where you were expecting 60 and they are doing 45 or 55, the margin of performance or the rate of performance seems higher.
But the point is, our people know, like I mentioned earlier, you've been able to restrain yourself for 30 days. What is making it very difficult for a Muslim to continue that for the rest of your life? I just want to find out what is actually is the challenge.
Yeah, like I said, some people don't know how to control freedom. But this is a religious injunction. They see the contract to be between them and their Lord, who is all-seeing. And social order. If you live in a society like a typical Zongo society like Abuabo, Aduku, and you are not fasting, my brother, even our females who are not supposed to fast, maybe due to menstruation or childbirth, they don't eat in public.
All right.
You can't do that.
All right. So finally, let's look at your expectations. Your expectations after this year's Ramadan. What do you expect from the Muslim Ummah?
Alhamdulillah, brother Nuruddin, having gone through 30 days or 29, of which inshallah we are going to finish if we belong to those who Allah will favor by giving them long life. We are expecting that the Muslim community will come together once again. My main worry is about, we know our problem, that is the youth unemployment. We are one of the most affected, like my brother rightly said, most affected communities. We have people who can help us put up organizations or companies to employ our brothers. I'm pretty sure that if most of them are gainfully employed, we would have less of violence in our community. The second aspect has to do with the need for people to really pay their zakat very well. If people pay their zakat very well and give it to the right people they are supposed to give, poverty would surely be eliminated from our community. The other one that I look at is for most of those who Allah has favored regarding their wealth to fear Allah, put up educational institutions, ultra-modern facilities to accommodate our brothers and sisters, such that when they are in school, for one or two reasons that happened previously or some years past, have made the Zongo community a section to lag behind compared to other brothers and sisters or the other world or our counterparts. When we have people pool their resources together to give the Muslim community a befitting educational institution, then I'm very certain that when our brothers and sisters are highly or much more educated, we shall be seen solving our community problems and solving the problems of the nation at large. And the other one that I want to really plead with my brothers and sisters, and that is what my brother referred to, or you yourself referred to, either on the Eid day or a day after Eid, the celebration. We should have a modest celebration. Do not fast 29 or 30 days and just lose all the blessing on the very day you are finishing. Let us accept our challenges. Let us get the work done. And alhamdulillah, the Zongo community or the Muslim community will surely be the winner. We are not the people think we are. Tagging us with violence, we do not belong there. We can make a change. The Muslim has proven to be hardworking. The Muslim has proven to be trustworthy. Let's allow people who either do not know about this culture or traits of the Muslim come to appreciate it by our deeds and our works.
Thank you very much. Your expectations?
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. I wish the community very well. And my brother ended, a very, very important one. Islam is a system of life. And for economy, like you mentioned, zakah is very important. There are two types, if I can broadly talk about them. One is the zakat of wealth, so that if you have, whether it's capital, animals, and all of that, there are rates that you pay. But like you said, it has to be properly organized, given to the appropriate persons, because the purpose is to eliminate or reduce poverty. In Ramadan, for the last 3 days of Ramadan, we have what we call Zakat al-Fitr. That zakat is for end of fast, if I can run a translation like that, where it is supposed to also distribute wealth, but this time of food, so that the less privileged can have access to basic staples like rice, some small money, some maize, to also have a way of celebrating per their families. And so, like he said, if we do that and do it well, we shouldn't have even beggars on Eid day going to mosques or houses to claim or beg for alms to make their families happy. And so I would say, Alhamdulillah for Ramadan, we thank Allah for it, and we have learned so many. I'm sure as education continues, our parents, our elders, our politicians, our businessmen, who are privileged, who have been favored by Allah, if they extend open hands of arms and mercy to less privileged, inshallah, even before the government comes in to give the bigger support, a lot of things will be put in perspective, and all these deviant things that we see on AD will be highly reduced to the barest minimum.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Abdul Nasir, Mohammed Nasir, and Sir Bash. Today happens to be our last episode for this year's Ramadan Diaries. I'm sure that after the Ramadan, we will continue with some of these discussions, regards to the Muslim life in Ghana. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم